Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryan Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः श्रीभगवानुवाच नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमस्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात् व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः एकेह कुरु नन्दन बहुशाखायनन्ताश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनां यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचं प्रवदन्त्यविपश्चितः वेदवादरताः पार्थ नान्यदस्तीति वादिनः. And I chanted 40, 41 and 42.
Great. All right. So let's start with the 40. So, before we get into it, we should understand what is the difference between karma and dharma yoga, though it is going to be explained here also, but I thought we can have a little discussion on that. So why do we get involved in a karma? Anybody wants to answer that? Why do we, what is the driver for our karma?
Vasanas?
Vasanas. But where do vasanas come from?
Sankalp, Vikalp.
So you're saying they come from previous karmic imprints. So what's the origin of karma? That's the question you're asking.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just because, most of you already know this, but I thought I'll just bring it up. Maybe I'll share
But we can say gunas and prakriti also give rise to kriya, no?
Yes, they do. They do. Where is my share screen? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I did a little a flow chart kind of thing. So I thought I'll share that with you. Okay. Is it there? Can you see it or no?
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't see anything.
Okay, let me just. अगर एक मिनट में नहीं हुआ then I'll just stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Normally तो हो जाता है बड़ी जल्दी.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason it is not connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 1 second.
Or you can draw on the whiteboard too.
Mm-hmm.
I can draw on the white, but that's a great idea. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sharing.
Whiteboard is a better idea.
Okay. I hope I can do it from here. Let me see if I can write. select. Okay. Oh, you can write it. Did you do it? Okay. And okay, let me see if my pen will write here. Did you select anything? A pen or something?
No, although I can see a pen on my screen, I don't know why.
On your left screen, if you run your cursor on the whiteboard, there is on the left corner there is a pen. So click that.
Yeah.
Click that, and you will have this kind of a thing come up on top of it.
Or try typing even, see if that, you may have to write in English, but try typing.
It's not. You know what? Maybe let me try it one more time.
Rajiv, is the host control with you or not? So I think you
No.
should the host control, then you'll.
Let me try one more time.
Help you completely.
One last time I'll try this again. If it doesn't work, then I'll just drop it.
Mm-hmm.
You did select this a particular document. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
There it is. All right. Okay. So if you see here, desires are what drives us, So this is all the vasanas, and let me explain this. So any desire that we have, they basically the desires come from our past samskara. Past samskara means past impressions of whatever likes, dislikes we have, which is a collection is called the vasanas. Right? So these vasanas, they are in our chitta. Chitta is a part of our antakaran, which basically stores all the impressions. So this chitta then desires, when the time comes, that desire is like ready to, it's almost like seeds that are sitting in our chitta for a long time, then something will sprout. That is called a desire. So once that desire has sprouted, it creates an agitation in our mind. When that agitation is, suppose, simple example, suppose I am habitual of having a tea at 6 o'clock in the morning, then 5:45, the mind will say tea, or coffee. That agitation will start, which will push me to an action to get that thing going. And when that, whatever action I have done based on that desire, results will come. The results can be favorable or unfavorable. If it is favorable, then I have an impression which is called the raga. If it is unfavorable, it is called dvesha, or like or dislike, whatever we want to call it. And they will leave an impression in our mind, in our chitta, as vasana. So this whole cycles keep repeating itself. And we have these impressions sitting with us from, infinite number of lives. So it is not just this life, but even if we say this life, we have so many impressions. Suppose I go to a restaurant. I really enjoy the food there. And it's done, I've enjoyed it, come back. after some time, when a desire is born, कि आज खाना बाहर खाते हैं. What is the restaurant we'll pick? Where we had a raga, where we had this like or a favorable impression, that I really enjoyed it there. Whatever the reason be, it could be the service, it could be the food, whatever the reason be, or it could be any action. I'm just giving an impression that you like that, and then it creates that impression that stays as a seed in our mind, which is called the vasana. So Shekharji, you were right. It is the vasanas that drive. So every action is driven by vasana. So they are sitting dormant mostly, but some new fruitations happen. The desires will just surface. And when that desire surfaces, that's when the mind starts to get agitated. When the mind is agitated, it then drives it to action. It pushes us to do something about it. A desire, we can ignore it, but it will come back again in some other form.
Right.
So
I was thinking, isn't there a place for choice there? What you just mentioned, I was thinking, because without choice, one
you
can't.
have a choice. You have thousands of desires. So you pick one, So those are the choices we have, or we have a choice not to act on it. That choice we have. So that choice, you can act on it, but not get buried with the raga dvesha. Buried with the raga dvesha means that you then get slave of this raga dvesha. We cannot just ignore it. It just sticks to us, So this is the cycle of karma. So,
but Rajiv, is
I
rag
have to.
Rajiv, is rag dvesha also involuntary, or is there a choice there also? Because there's
Raga dvesha is, so this is karma cycle. Oh, sorry. Raga dvesha is a choice based on your likes and dislikes from the past impression. So suppose I enjoy drinking, right? So I go to somebody's house and they offer me some, single malt Scotch whiskey, 1,000-year-old, and I say, wow, and I enjoy it. But if somebody goes there who has never ever drank or has no liking for it, you give him a 1,000-year-old Scotch whiskey or desi tharra, for him it doesn't matter because he already has a doish for it. So point here is that your likes and dislikes are also impressions based on your past samskaras as well. So what you like, what you don't like is totally dependent on that is sitting with you in your chitta, in your mind for forever. Now, this is something that is driving us. This is our current driver. Okay, is it clear? Now I'm gonna take this off, stop sharing. I just wanted to do that because I was sitting and thinking about it. I said, okay, this will be an easy way to communicate it. But if you have any questions on it, we can discuss it. Now we are talking about what is Karma Yoga. So far, Bhagwan talked about it, that he said, okay, I am going to talk about Karma Yoga now. So let's start with this one, the 40th.
so Rajiv,
Neha Vikrama.
sorry, Rajiv, sorry to interrupt you. Before you go, since you slowed it down in your very beautiful diagram, and you call it unconscious mind. So basically, when the vasanas, the seed, first give rise to a thought, like a desirous thought. So that's what we experience in our consciousness, and then we can act upon it or let it go, right? If we act upon it, then that results in action. And then the action can be with samta bhav or with absence of that. And then the result happens. And then the result based on likes and dislikes will create rag or dvesha, right? Anyway, so just wanted to introduce that. I mean, there's a thought, like meaning what we call desire is initially a thought, no? That's why we can.
Yes, desire is a thought. Absolutely. Desire is a thought. So desire will be converted into action, which converts into a result. Results is either favorable or unfavorable. It creates that raga dvesha. Raga dvesha leaves that impression as vasanas. Then vasanas will again generate desire, which again creates agitations and again creates action. So this cycle is a continuous. The moment you get up in the morning, first thought you have is, I am, right? That, okay, I am, After that, the next thought will be, Aaj kya karna hai, So what are the action items? Aaj mujhe ye karna hai, ye karna hai, ye karna hai. So the list is something that is coming from this is your automatic Rolodex or automatic calendar, which actually prompts us for things to do. So it is a continuous cycle, and for each one it is different because each one is sitting with a set of vasanas which are different from others, right? So it is not like we have the same desires. No, we don't. Some people have very positive desires, negative desires, but it doesn't matter because positive or negative, it leads to the same agitation. All right. So is it okay? Did I answer your question? Okay, good. So neha bhikramanosh no shasti pratyavayo na vidyate. Now Bhagwan is saying, we talked about that either you can have infinite as a goal, and I think very beautifully Nirupamaji put it also in the chat, or you can have infinite goals, right? So the next two verses basically is talking about that only. So here he says, why is Karma Yoga superior? Now, Karma Yoga is not an action. This is something we have to understand, and I think Rajiv sent something. I only saw a very brief glimpse of it, but it is not an action. Karma Yoga is an attitude towards an action. Okay, that in next up to 53, we will be drilling into that. So if you don't get it right now, it doesn't matter. We'll understand it fully by the end of it. So Bhagwan is saying there are three ways to look at Karma Yoga, or the three major points that we should understand here. So first is, this is he's talking about yoga buddhi. When he says iha, the neha vikramana no shosti pratyavayo na vidyate. Pratyavayo. First thing is that every karma has a sequence. When it says abhikrama means everything follows a sequence, and I'll explain that. Just let me summarize this first. That means if you are taking an action, it has to be done in a sequence. If you miss one sequence, one item in the sequence, then that karma is not going to give you result. Suppose if I have to make chai, I'm giving such ridiculous examples here, but say I have to make chai and I put water and I put patti in it, and then I forget to turn on the gas. So will we get the chai? Or if if things are not in sequence, then it will not give the results. So that is what abhikrama is. And Bhagavan says in Karma Yoga, the sequence is not relevant. That means it doesn't matter, you know. Now, Karma Yoga is not an action. Just think about it, and I'll explain it even further here. The second point he says is pratyavayona vidyate. Pratyavayona vidyate means that it doesn't have a negative consequences. Pratyavaya is that it will not cause any negative things in this, which means that if you have developed the attitude of samatva, samatva is where you are ready to accept any result. If it comes favorable, good. If it is not favorable, good, even better, you know. So you are ready to accept any result. With that attitude, if you develop, then there's no negative impact of it. Pratyavayo na vidyate. That means, like Bhagwan was saying, tum kshatriya ho, agar tum yuddha mein nahi gaye, then what will happen? Then it will be a papa for you because you are supposed to do this. But if you have developed this attitude of samatvam, then the karma don't matter because results don't matter. So if we go back to that cycle, if the raga dvesha is not there, then there is no impressions. If there are no impressions, then it is not the desires which are prompting you to work, action. It is your with a detached attitude, you have basically gotten above the raga dvesha. So you are basically, whatever work you are doing is a offering to Bhagwan. Some people don't like the word Bhagwan. You know, when we say Bhagwan, people say, no, I don't believe in God. Okay. That for them, I use the word samatva, the samashti. So we all agree that there is samashti and we are just a part of samashti. If I am offering my seva to samashti or Ishwar, whatever we want to call it, that will be my driver. You know, so second point was, first was the abhikram nashana asti. That means the sequence don't matter. It is, attitude has nothing to do with action really. But when you are getting involved in an action or getting involved in karma with the attitude of karma yoga, then it doesn't matter. The sequence means it doesn't have a sequence. It is just an attitude. So that is why you have to understand it in that light. Okay. And then it says, even if it is for a short time. So the word here is swalpamati. Swalpam. I think Kannada also used the word swalpa, you know, for small little things. So even if suppose you are working on a huge project and for 5 hours you are dedicated in a maybe a scientific experiment, or you are involved in some, you know, a big architectural project. Even for 2 hours, if you have a mindset of that, it doesn't matter what the results are. I'm going to put my best, I'm going to make it as if I am offering it to Bhagwan. You know, with that attitude, if I am working, even for a short time, it creates a huge impact in our mindset. It creates that that samatva bhav will stay with you for longer and longer and longer time. It doesn't go away. If we develop that thing, it just keeps on increasing. So you have to start somewhere, you know. That is what the point is given here. Even swalpamapi, that if you even have for a short time, you think about it and say, okay, you know what? I am not working for a gain. I am working as a seva. I'm working as a service. So that is a important thing. So let's come back to the first one. So suppose I have to do because in Bhagwan knew that Arjuna was very familiar with Karma Kand, because all his arguments were coming from that Karma Kand. Karma Kand is a portion of Vedas only, which says, okay, if you want this result, you do this yajna. If you want to get to heaven, do this. If you want a son, do this. If you want a big, prosperous, life, then you do this. So we do, people do Satyanarayan Puja, all these things. They are all karmas only, right? And also remember, if suppose somebody is doing dan, tapa, going to the pilgrimage, that is not considered karma yoga. I remember, I used to be part of a study group, and some lady was one day very agitated. We were doing this second chapter, or I think one of these verses, and she said, I start from early morning doing karma yoga, from day to, nobody has any respect for me. I said, if you are looking for a respect, it is not karma yoga to begin with. So if you have any expectation that, okay, this will get me this, then it is not considered karma yoga. This is considered karma only. All these things are considered karma yoga. See, karma will give us results. Karma yoga is not for results. See, this is where the difference comes. We have to think about it. So, as an example of a karma kand, so suppose the yajna has to be performed, then first you start with, creating this yajna area. Then you start with, putting the whatever the yajna material in there. Then you put in a fire. Then you start with Ganesha Puja. You do all these other avahans of different gods. And then you do your puja. Then you do Purnahuti. Then you do Then the thing gets over. Then you let the gods go back. You say, okay, thank you very much for coming. Please, now you can go back. All these things have to be done sequentially. Suppose you miss one step, you don't call Ganeshi, or you chant wrong mantras, then that yajna is going to be wasted. It may actually give you negative results. There are some stories like this. We did that in our Yoga Vasishtha also. There was one where there was this person, a rishi, who got very pissed off at Indra. And he says, you know what? I want to have a son who will kill Indra. So he did his puja, a big yajna, to create that son who would kill Indra. But somehow the chantings were wrong. And instead of saying that to kill Indra, he says, kill one who hate Indra, something like that. So basically, the one who was born got destroyed. So point here is that the sequence in karma is very important. Even if suppose you are, I'm just thinking of some examples. If you have to do any action in the world also, it has to be in a sequence. Suppose you are doing farming. So the land has to be plowed, and then you put the seed, then you wait for the rain, then, then things will happen. So if you forget to put the seeds, nothing will happen. Or if, whatever, I don't know the whole sequences on that. But point here is, in karma, the sequence is important. In karma yoga, the sequence doesn't matter. You just have to have an attitude where you are ready to accept whatever results are there. So anyways, we talked about the pratyavaya dosha, and it says that there is no side effect to karma yoga. There cannot be any side effect to an attitude, right? If I'm angry about something, then there will be a side effect of that. If my attitude is that I'm ready to accept everything, I am open, I am like servant of Bhagwan, that Ishvara Samarpana Buddhi is there, then nothing wrong can, it will not create any agitation in you. See, the problem with the karma is that if you don't get the results that you wanted, it creates an agitation in our mind. So if you have acceptance, then there is no agitation. Even if something goes wrong, you say, okay, I'll try again. I'm going to get back on this. Because your goal is not the raga. It's not a favorable result. Favorable result come, that's great. That's what you started off with. But the main point of karma yoga is that you develop it with the right attitude. So it says, Mahat, what was the, let me read that. Trayate mahato bhayat. That means it actually, mahato bhayat is the fear of extreme bondage. That what if I fail? That kind of attitude. What if it doesn't work out? That feeling is totally gone. So trayate means it, kya bolte hain isko? To cross over. That you are not going to be bound by that. You are not going to be impacted by this. Mahat is huge. Bhaya, the fear. The fear is, you eliminate that fear. So anyways, so one other point I wanted to mention in this, then we'll go to the next one, that only humans have this ability for developing that attitude. No other species have it, not even devatas. Because every other yoni, or whether it is insect or whether it is a fish, animal, even devatas, they call it the bhoga yoni. Bhoga yoni means they are there to exhaust their karmas. So they have some karmas of the past which gave them this life, and they have to exhaust it. That's it. They are not adding new karma, or they are not subtracting any karmas. But we have a way to actually get rid of this karma cycle, this mahato bhayat, that we can actually cross over this karma cycle by developing the attitude, the karma yoga attitude. Okay. So, okay, now let's go to the next one, which is, this is actually next 2 verses talk about the glory of karma yoga. So it says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Now this is a new word that is introduced. Vyavasayatmika. In Hindi, vyavasaya is actually business, or whatever the profession you are in. पूछते हैं ना, आपका क्या व्यवसाय है? तो कहते हैं अच्छा जी, मैं इंजीनियर हूँ या मैं डॉक्टर हूँ. So all these vyavasaya, here it is the totally opposite meaning. Vyavasayatmika buddhi means the the buddhi which is single pointed. They have the word is vyavasayatmika buddhi, ekeh. Ekeh means it is only one and one thing only. And I'll go over it in more detail. O Kuru Nandana, O, the descendant of Kuru, that doesn't make him a Kaurav. It is just that one of the major ancestor was King Kuru. Unke naam se inka vansh tha. So, O Kuru Nandana means you come from such a great lineage. You understand what I am talking about, this Karma Yoga. So, develop this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, that there are two types of buddhis. One is Vyavasayatmika Buddhi and the other is Bahushaka. Hayantyaksha Buddhayo Avyavasayatmika. That means there is Vyavasayatmika Buddhi and Avyavasayatmika Buddhi, which means it is Bahushaka. Bahushaka means it has many branches. That means I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So I have like zillions of branches that or the option that I have. That means this is a good thing for me. Maybe this is a better thing for me. So I always have this mindset of moving from point A to point B, where the Vyavasayatmika Buddhi is single pointed goal. What is that goal? The goal is moksha. Moksha means crossing over this, the cycle of karma means cycle of repeated lives, life after death, after life. You keep going back and over the same experiences. So to get over that, you need this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. That is the only goal you have.
So Rajiv, just a quick question.
Uh-huh.
The reason it's the only goal is that if the freedom is to be complete, matlab, then there's only one thing, because it is freedom from everything. So it cannot be two. Matlab, you can't say कि एक मोक्ष इस तरह का है और एक मोक्ष उस तरह का है. While you're saying कि the desires can be many, but once you decide कि बस I just need to be free, I want that Atma Gyan or that ultimate freedom, that's only one. That's why it's single point.
Exactly. What happens is हम कहते हैं यार अभी ना पैसे भी कमाने हैं, बड़ा सा घर भी रखना है, कारें भी रखनी है, नौकरी भी अच्छी चाहिए, बीवी भी अच्छी चाहिए, बच्चे भी ठीक से काम करें और on the side मोक्ष भी मिल जाए. So we have a moksha as one of the bahushakas, one of the shaka is moksha. Bhagavan says, okay, keep it, if that's what you want, keep it. At least have one branch that has moksha as your one desire is moksha. But he says, for a karma yogi, that alone is the desire. So avyavasayika buddhi is too many goals, that I want to achieve this, I want to have a great vacation in, Hawaii or, wherever. But point is not that you should not have it. If it comes, fine, but it should not be driving you. If suppose plan happens, then you enjoy that. But the goal should never be that I am going to enjoy here. Goal is moksha is my goal. They are there on the side. Let that be. But it is not, you cannot say that, okay, I'm going to just sit in one corner. You have not taken sannyas. You are Bhagwan will not tell him to take sannyas, right? Because he wants him to get engaged in the action. Bhagavan is saying with what attitude you should engage in this action. That is the important point here. And that is why Bhagwad Gita is so important, because Bhagavan has emphasized it so extensively here in Bhagavad Gita. Anyways,
But
so
Rajiv, just to link it to the previous shloka, Bhagwan is very kind and he's also saying that even a little bit of samta and a little bit of tyag
mhm,
is going to last, and one can slowly practice, like this,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So that's very encouraging and cheerful, actually.
Yes, it is. It is. So because the karmas can be many, you can get involved in many karmas, but the goal has to be one. So suppose, like a student in 10th grade says, what subject I should take? If he takes biology, biology is not the goal. The goal is becoming doctor. So he has to start with step one in the right direction. So every step he takes from that point onwards has to be towards the final goal. I'm just giving an example here. So that we should never forget, that is what the vyavasayatmika buddhi is, So goal is moksha, eka. It says vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana. That alone is your goal, nothing else, Because if there are many goals, what happens? For every goal, there are several things you have to do, right, to achieve it. So suppose our goal is A, then the means are A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. If the goal becomes B, then you say, okay, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5. Suppose today I say, okay, I'm just thinking that today I say, okay, I should take up this job because it pays more. Then I say, okay, no, this job is fine. But then if I take that one, I have a better position. They are offering me a VP position instead of a, senior manager position. So we will be having options all our life. Point here is that if we are just focused on moving from Bahushakha, from option 1 to option 2 to option 3, same thing happens, we are always confused about what action to take. We are confused about it because all our desires are prompted by our ragadvesha, by our vasanas. So, so everything that we want to do is for getting a repeat of the same thing. Yeah.
So, Raju, just to clarify, it's a very subtle thing you just said. It's not that the Bahushakha is a function of doing many things. It's a function of doing the many things in order to chase that for happiness. But if you say ki the moksha or the samta bhav and all that is my true purpose, that's the only thing, then you can do many things. It's just that
Yeah, you can do many things.
because
Sure.
we have to do many things, right? I mean, that's just part
Mhm.
of being human. So
But what I'm saying is, if the goal is one, here we are saying many goals.
Oh yeah.
That's what we talked about.
Activity versus goal.
Infinity as goal or infinite goals. That's what Bahushakha is. Bahushakha doesn't mean lot of action. It means a lot of goals. That I will enjoy this part also. I want to enjoy this also. I want to maximize my pleasures here. So I am always seeking the next hit, basically.
Is this the cause for sansarna, all the time becoming something
Absolutely.
constant?
Absolutely.
Right?
Constant. Mind is, very fertile. Bhagwan ne diya hai ki, okay, we are always pleasure seekers, right? So we want to gravitate towards where we can maximize our pleasures. I'm saying use the word pleasure, not happiness here. So So in each goal, we put in a lot of effort, right? And what happens in the end? Because each effort will basically give us a very limited result. Even if it is a positive result, it will be short-lived, right? अगर आपको suppose करो, I want to buy a new BMW, you can work towards it, buy it. What happens? That desire is fulfilled. Now what? The next question will be, okay, अब क्या करना है? You know, what is the next thing I should run after? Because once you have it, then it loses its value. That desire, that running after something is gone. So now you have, उसके लिए मुझे एक वो याद आ गया. It is called Maru Marichika. You know, I have used that word. It is mirage. Now what happens is the deer, when he sees that, it starts to run towards it, but he can never reach it, right? He is always a few yards away. So he gets there, then okay, maybe it is this side. Then he goes that side. Then he goes some other side. So we are in this Maru Marichika only. This mirage of that I will find we are looking for the eternal happiness. If I have this, then my life is all set. You know, when did that happen?
But
Did it ever happen to
Rajiv,
anybody? You know?
but while there is that hope ki if I make a little bit more money or if I have the perfect relationship, whatever it is of one's own version, while there is that hope, one has a firm conviction कि मुझे तो मिल ही जाएगी, औरों को मिले ना मिली हो in the like to find gold in the wild, मुझे तो जरूर मिलेगा मतलब, and
Exactly.
that can bring great focus and great clarity. मैं अपना goal achieve करूंगा and then when I reach that, then I will definitely be happy. मतलब that can also bring a kind of clarity, focus. You know, मतलब I was just talking about the delusion, how clear the delusion can be where you don't even look for anything else.
Exactly. So how do we do that then? So first thing is that renouncing desires for finite goals. That means अगर ये finite goal है भी, then that should not be my ultimate goal. See, हम क्या करते हैं, हमारा जो goal होता है, suppose I am, is usually very finite in the end. That I am looking for something, अगर ये मिल गया, then I am not going to do anything else. Okay, that is a problem because no finite goal can get you infinite happiness. We are looking for infinite happiness. We are actually seeking our own self, which is infinite. But we get trapped into thinking that this finite is good enough for me, you know, and we are selling ourselves short, basically. Bhagwan is telling Arjuna here that you are selling yourself short if your goal is not the highest, you know. So when you engage in Karma Yoga or when you engage in this world of activity or action or karma with the attitude of Karma Yoga, with the Samatva Bhav, then your goal is moksha only. Then you are not bound by this karma phala. See, karma phala is what binds us, positive or negative. It binds us, you know. So, जैसे another example, जब हम लोग छोटे थे तो टीवी देखने के लिए दूरदर्शन देखते थे, राइट? दैट वाज द ओनली चैनल. वो व्यवसायत्मिका बुद्धि थी उस टाइम पे. तो अगर उसके ऊपर कृषि दर्शन भी आ रहा है तो बहुत ध्यान से देखते थे, यू नो. ओके, बट नाउ वी हैव टीवी व्हिच हैज लाइक 3 रिमोट्स. एक केबल का रिमोट है, किसी और का रिमोट है, एक, यू नो, एंड उसके अंदर अच्छा नेटफ्लिक्स पे देखते हैं. नेटफ्लिक्स पे you keep changing. क्या है कि, you know, we see 100 shows and glimpse and then बाद में किसी ने पूछा कौन सा शो देखा? अरे यार कुछ देखने लायक था ही नहीं. Because we have really not, you know, we don't have the vyavasaya buddhi. It is, we are wasting our time by involving in this Bahushaka. Now, okay, option one, option two. This will give me more happiness, watching this show or this show or this show. Maybe I'm missing out on that other, Prime Video or Hulu or something else. So, so that is where our life just spins, and we are not able to find peace. The Karma Yoga is that buddhi which actually gives you that total peace, because there is no agitation. जो भी चैनल चल रहा है ठीक है, और जो भी लगा लिया ठीक है, so so this is what vyavasayatmika buddhi. So buddhi is this buddhi is the goal. This buddhi means this attitude with which we should engage in any karma, and don't think of any other option. And because samta alone can lead us to moksha. There is no other means. If suppose somebody says, you know what, if you do this tapas, it will lead you, or you meditate for if you have a single pointed meditation or something for some time, that will give you that. It may give you peace for some time. I'm not saying it won't, but that is not developing an attitude. The samatvam is Bhagwan gives it higher credence than anything else. बाकी जो कर्म है, जैसे दान है, तप है, all the dharmic things that you do, they give you results, some results, but it is not going to change you. This will change you. This will bring you closer to yourself. That is the goal, right?
No, but Rajiv,
you want to find yourself.
But you see, that udasinta, that sort of and knowledge ki the bahushaka chasing is not going to give you lasting happiness. That's a decision or realization one has to come to on one's own, na? Kyunki
Of course,
the world is so seductive and so mesmerizing. So many channels, like you said, it looks like कि कहीं ना कहीं तो शायद होगी मतलब अच्छी चीज. So you don't go inwards.
Actually, next verse talks about that only. So what is that? What is the nature of this vyavasayika buddhi? So he says, oh, how does that work? How do you get trapped into that? That we will talk about it next time. But also I wanted to give some other examples also. So, we want to have something, right, which we think is going to give me happiness. This is suppose karo when people are looking for spouse, right? Both girls and boys, they are always thinking, यार ये तो अच्छी है लेकिन वो वाली उससे ज्यादा बेटर है, या फलाना लड़का तो अच्छा है लेकिन उसकी नौकरी ज्यादा अच्छी है, he is going to give me a more luxurious life. This guy may be a nice guy, but he doesn't have what it'll make me more comfortable. So people are always choosing between, what kind of spouse they want, or what kind of job they want. So the goal is, when you go for marriage, the goal has to be chitta shuddhi. If the goal is chitta shuddhi, then you will gain a lot more out of marriage. But if the goal is bhoga, because it is the two people coming together are not going to, because all our expectations are lying with the other person. So if I get angry, it is because they did not fulfill my desires. It is on both sides, So why do the people fight? Because their expectations are so high from the spouses that you cannot fulfill that. But if both have the same goal, of Chitta Shuddhi, then both will be happier. Anyways, so because what happens is ultimately we start blaming each other for my unhappiness. But then we don't realize that my unhappiness is causing more unhappiness for the other person. That I am the cause of the unhappiness, not the other person. So anyways, so purpose is to walk together and on that path of Chitta Shuddhi, which is anyways. So now what about the avivasayika buddhi? We will, next 3 verses are about that. How this trap happens. What is this honey trap or the pleasure trap or the happiness trap? All these things we will talk about. I think we'll be able to do that in one session. But if you have any questions, we can talk about it. Or we can wrap it up here and continue with our discussion.
Rajiv, you had asked me to
All right.
remind you, you wanted to comment on last time that if you have Santa Bhav regarding the outcome, then how do you motivate yourself to be in action? Given that
Okay.
we outcomes.
I would like to open it for discussion. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just stop the recording. Reply if you want to do that. Or let me just wrap it up. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.